a move in the ring. You can hit me with a word you fling.
Not much else in the news, I guess. We could talk a little bit about Anthony Smith. He's making some noise after the controversy surrounding the coach not stepping in against Glover Teixeira, or the referee not stepping in as well. He's done an interview with MMA Fighting's Damon Martin. Let's have a little look at this. Basically, yeah, just John, what's your take? Is Anthony in the right or the wrong to say, I never want the referee to step in or the coach to step in, I want to go out on my sword, that kind of talk?
Well, he's a fighter. That's expected out of the fighter. The fighter doesn't want to quit ever. And Anthony Smith never quit. You know what I mean? He never gave a hint of wanting to quit. People say, oh, he said in the corner that his teeth were knocked out. That doesn't mean that he wanted to quit. He's just telling the coach his teeth are knocked out, right? It doesn't say anything. People are trying to read in between the lines too much. Should they have stopped the fight earlier? Of course, somebody should have stopped the fight earlier, but I wouldn't blame the corner or the referee. This is the most chaotic sport we're watching. Two guys go in there to basically kill each other, and people are arguing about this. It's like, come on, these guys, the mentality of a fighter is something that most of us will never be able to comprehend completely, right? Especially entering a cage at the high level.
The issue for me is I love Anthony Smith. I think he deserves that nickname, Lionheart. But yeah, the issue goes back to when you have to protect these guys from themselves. And here he's saying, I'm not a victim. I put myself in this position on purpose. I want to be in these situations, that kind of thing. And he says in this article, he also said it to ESPN, he's been telling his coaches for years they're not allowed to stop his fights and throw in the towel, otherwise they're fired. To me, this is the issue. You see it in boxing where I think coaches can throw in the towel and boxers will accept it, that their life has been saved. But in MMA, it's almost this weird unwillingness to accept that your coach knows better than you to protect your health, not just to protect your career for a few more years, but to protect your life. And Anthony Smith protected his family from that home intruder. He should also be thinking about protecting his family by protecting his long-term health. That's what my concern is.
Well, Anthony Smith threatening his coaching staff to fire them if they ever threw in the towel, it kind of shows you a unhealthy relationship between him and his coaching staff, doesn't it?
Yeah, but now I think everyone was giving his coaching staff heat after that fight, saying, why didn't you throw in the towel? Now I get it. If they throw in the towel, they lose their jobs, essentially, is what Anthony's saying.
But should you, as a coach, have that hanging over your head?
I don't think you should. It's unfair on the coach. I wouldn't blame the coach for walking away from a fighter if he was told, I'm going to fire you if you throw in the towel. It goes back to Tony Ferguson and Eddie Bravo said, I considered throwing in the towel in the fifth round. Well, he said I never would have done it because, Tony's like a brother to me, but he said it crossed his mind that if he'd been in a position of power, he might have thought about doing it. But this is an issue, isn't it? Where does friendship end and where does coach relationship start?
Yeah, it's a blurry line right there. And when you have the thing about Eddie Bravo is the jiu-jitsu coach. He's the ground coach, right? So he's not the head coach. The head coach is the one that should be taking the lead. You're the boss, right? And if you're going to get fired, then you get fired. You should not have that holding you back from protecting your fighter at all, at any time. And yeah, it's weird how this has played out, right? How the referee, Jason Herzog, comes out and apologizes and takes the blame. And from the coaches saying that, they don't regret not throwing in the towel, to Anthony Smith coming out and saying he's going to fire his coaches if they do throw in the towel. Man, this is the sport of MMA right here. This is if someone asked me what is MMA, I would point to this situation right here. This is how chaotic it is. And we're not even talking about the actual fight, right? So it's just the decision making. The head coach, they need to make the decision, right? Even if they're threatened by the athlete, the fighter, at the end of the day, you're watching the fight from the corner and you're dissecting how well your fighter is doing. And if your fighter is at a point where they're not going to be able to come back and even win this fight, and they're taking too much damage, then you got to throw in the towel. You know what I mean? You got to do it. But the coach knows best, but the fighter should never be deciding that factor.